Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, the first broad and official presentation of Continia Banking, our new global solution to connect the banking industry with Business Central to offer a swift and secure payment processing. My name is Kim Dalsgaard Christensen. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Continia Software. The agenda for today is very simple. I will give you a very short heads up on Continia in general. The biggest part will be taken care of by my colleague, Anne Bjerre, our Senior Solution Specialist for Continia Banking. Typically, What's New webinar is presenting new features and changes on an existing solution. Since this is a total new solution, the news here are the entire solution. And since this is a new solution, I will guide you through the license pricing before Anne's presentation. Typically, you will see the solution before asking for pricing afterwards, but I will turn it around because you will get familiar with names of the modules that Anne will mention in her presentation as well. Finally, we will catch up on questions that came in during the presentation. For those of you who haven't met Continia before this webinar, very short. Continia is an international software vendor. We focus 100% on building solutions enhancing the financial capabilities within Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. Each and every solution is delivered through our partners. All our solutions are available on Microsoft App Source, and 1st of October, all solutions were upgraded to new version 2024 R2, supporting the new Business Central 2024 Wave 2, both in the Continia and Microsoft world, also called version 25. Within the next months, we will release the extensions as well, supporting on-premises Business Central versions 2 years back, plus the Business Central 14 with the last FOB version. For a notice, this version 24 R2 will be the last version where we include the FOB files. Companies who remain on this version also for time to come, this is the version you will be able to get. There will be no further version releases, and within 2 years, we do not offer support on the version any longer. Please also notice there is no BC14 FOB versions available for our new releases, sustainability, banking, and finance. To support this, we have established the most comprehensive range of What's New webinars in the Continia history. There will be webinars in English with both European and American approach, and webinars in German and Danish. Since you did register, you will get access to the recording of this event. Furthermore, we will make all recordings available on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel, and you will be notified when new videos are published. Current status is that this Continia community now is supported by no less than 30,000 live installations within more than 45 countries. All solutions are supported by more than 1,600 partners with more than 12,000 people that have access to our partner services within license and technical support. We are humbled and honored by all the confidence and trust that lies in this number. A big thank you both to our partners and customers. As promised, I will quickly guide you through the pricing of the new Continia Banking. As many of you might know, Continia got 2 sets of licenses separated by on-premises and cloud. At the Continia websites, there is a price section where you can find our pricing for all our solutions. Here I will focus on the price for using Continia Banking for Business Central Cloud through the app on Microsoft App Source. For all Continia apps, there are no order processes. Simply click download and install the app and try it out for up to 30 days for free. You will be able to process your first payments in less than 15 minutes from when you began installing the app. After your 30-day trial is over, you can continue to use the Continia app with flexible pricing based on how much you use the solution throughout a calendar month. For many solutions, you must pay for the software before you even start installing the solution. With apps from Continia, you can install, try it out, and use it before you even make your first payment. In other words, starting up and learning how to use our software is on us. Once you start to pay for using a Continia solution, the consumption is collected within each Business Central tenant, but among multiple production environments. This means that you will be able to sum the consumption total and get a better volume discount. Consumption is the only thing that counts. There is no additional charge for additional companies or Business Central users, as you may already know from your on-premises license pricing and program. When you start using our app, you must decide which modules you want to use. The Essential module is mandatory, and it has the basic features of the entire solution. On top of this, we offer 2 feature modules which are optional: direct communication and security. As a sneak peek into our pricing, we are introducing a historically low entry-level price on only €10 for 1 month of the Essential module. The pricing for the activated modules depends on how many transactions you process within a calendar month. A transaction is equal to a posted journal line or lookups. Please note that if it's a summarized payment, the number of transactions is equal to the number of closed entries within that payment journal line. This covers both the use of all features that create transactions within Continia Banking, including import, export, direct debit, and so on. All our prices are available for everyone in multiple currencies. Our prices are based on a matrix with multiple usage intervals, and the price can vary depending on your usage within the specific month. At the end of each calendar month, your consumption and the total number of transactions will be calculated. Just find the specific row that fits your total number, and you know your price for each module. For example, if you processed 350 transactions within the last month, this row is your pricing. This is what you do in October. Then you might process 820 transactions in November, and then this is your price. When you have seasons without usage, you will be able to pay less. For example, if you process only 20 transactions in December, this is your price, and your cost will also be very limited. This was the pricing, and now it's time to get some real action. So Anne, the screen is yours when you're ready.
Thank you very much. Well, I just want to say welcome to this fast release webinar. I've been looking forward to this, so I hope you'll all enjoy the session. I'll do my very best to show you as much as possible in the time frame available, but Kim already took 10 minutes, so I will have to push it a little bit. As Kim mentioned, this session will be recorded and sent to you afterwards, so will the slides that I'm showing you here. And I'm very fortunate today to have Martin Brex, a Continia Banking supporter, with us today to help you with the questions. So he'll be answering while I talk. Good. As mentioned, my name is Anne Bjerre, and I'm the solution specialist for Continia Banking. The agenda for today is I'll go through a little bit of the history or evolution of banking and why you should choose Continia Banking as your banking solution. And then I'll give you an overview, and I will highlight some of the features. And then I'll talk a little bit about the future, and then I'll go into a live demo. We started our journey already in 1993 with Navi Banking, and then we evolved into payment management in 2001. And we, of course, followed the development. So we also moved to Business Central when it was time for that. And we later on in 2022, we strengthened our portfolio. So we joined forces with OP Plus, and then we also included Dynamo Pay. So these are giants in the DACH region. And we could see that we needed to do something about that. We couldn't be 3 different solutions spread out over the world. We wanted to take on the world. So how did we want to proceed with that? And we decided to go with a more global approach, join forces and create Continia Banking. So now we have 3 teams and the expertise that follows with them. And now we're ready. We're ready to take on the world with this solution. The goals for Continia Banking is to ease all processes surrounding payments and reconciliation. So these are the 2 main areas of the solution. It's to ensure a secure and stable flow for your payments. It's to offer payment flexibility and system-wide coherency. And then it's to cut cost and save time for more valuable and exciting tasks. Because at Continia, we know that it's all about time. So we want to save it on tasks that we can do for you, so you can focus your expertise on the more demanding and specialized tasks. With Continia Banking, we offer you direct communication in a module, payment security also in a module, validation and error handling in the essential module, and precise reconciliation also in essential, and flexible payment handling in this essential module, and enhanced file import, also part of the essential module. So you can see you get a lot with the essential, but really good core things also in the modules, security and communication. In banking export, which is kind of an area in the essential module, we have a little bit of a different approach. So how do we set ourselves apart from the rest of standard and previous solutions? We automate as many processes as possible. We have 2 methods of creating payment suggestions, standard and advanced payments flow, but I'll get into that a little bit later to show you how to differentiate between the 2. And then we export payment files to the bank directly from BC. We handle payments in different currency across multiple accounts and recipients from the same payment journal. And we have real-time status updates inside the payment journal. And then we can also create tailored notification for the payment recipients. The standard payment flow. Now, I mentioned that there were 2 methods for creating payment. The standard flow, which is fast and to the point. You have to imagine that you have a company where you basically buy items from a vendor, you order the items, and the vendor sends you what you order. So naturally, you would want to pay for the number of items you receive. You might even have an approval flow early in the process. You might use document capture for this, to make sure that everything is approved and correct before you go and post your invoices. This would mean that when the payment suggestion is created, you can be certain that this is a one-to-one payment. If that's the case, then most likely the best choice would be to go with the standard payment suggestion. It's clean cut, straight to the point, and it gives you a complete overview of all your payments. We have single or summarized payments from the payment journal. You can use the validation and easy error correction. We have bank account verification and approval, and you get the overview of all the payments. And then we have a status update in the column, in the payment journal column, and we are able to see the notifications and send the notifications. So the advanced payment flow is for another type of scenario. When you, for example, and this is just an example of what it could be, but because there are so many different variants of what you're able to do with this, but a more complex setup where you, for example, we're running a construction site with several different contractors and suppliers where you have to pay to keep them working, but also need to make sure to not pay for anything that you haven't received yet to make sure that you get what you ordered. In this case, you would use your payments as more of a bargaining tool. You could also be selling the service of assembly, buying components, assembling them to sell them again, maybe even to the company you bought the original component from, making the vendor your customer. And if this is the case, how would you then make sure that you do not pay them too much because they might owe you? This is where the advanced payment suggestion starts to make sense, because this gives you the full overview of the company you're paying, every invoice, credit memo, and even if you also have Continia Finance in play, an overview of your vendor customer link, so you'll be able to see if it makes sense to pay the full amount. You can make payment suggestions and set up different templates for how you want to make the suggestions. You get an overview per recipient, per payment method, per balance account, and currency. And in the recipient overview, you can see and work with every payment line and still be able to have the line summarized before exporting to the payment to the bank. And as mentioned, if you have Continia Finance, we honor the association and show the customer vendor linked information in the payment suggestion page. The export flow, so outgoing payments, you would get an invoice, and already when you get the invoice, before sending it to approval in, for example, document capture, we already start the validation. The validation is very, very central to Continia Banking, because we want to make sure that when you send the information to the bank, it lives up to the requirements from the bank. So in the payment suggestions, both of them, you can create the suggestion, there's validation, you have bank account verification, you might be working in the advanced payment suggestion. You also have approval, you can export, you get a status back from the bank using direct communication, and you are able to send the remittance advice directly to the recipient via email also. When you send it to the bank, it goes through Continia Online. We have a bank format converter connected to each of the banks, and we connect an end-to-end ID to each of the payments so that you'll be able to recognize it later on in the bank account reconciliation or payment reconciliation journal. In the bank, they handle the payment transfer, and then, of course, they supply these status files for you. In banking import, we also have two different methods of doing things, and we are able to be very flexible in the reconciliation because of these two different ways. We have effortlessly the option to match using all available data in the transaction lines that you get in, and you can use the advanced search rules for that also. We are able to efficiently process results with built-in logic, and you can auto-match to customer, vendor, or employee ledger entries. The bank account reconciliation, you're able to auto download and import statement lines. We can track the payments with the unique end-to-end ID. We can easily set up and customize search rules, and we can suggest matches for customer, vendor, employee ledger entries. And there's a status update per statement line. The banking import flow is very simple, so I won't be lingering too long on this slide, but we have the statement file coming in, and we are able to import that and reconcile and post. So focusing on the bank account reconciliation, this gives you the full overview of the reconciled bank account, and you can work with the two areas of the statement lines and the bank account ledger entries and move into the different journals directly from the bank account reconciliation. The This gives you a very clear match visibility, and I'll show you how this is done later on because I'll go through a full matching procedure. And then we also have the payment reconciliation journal where you manage payment reconciliation journal lines instead. You apply the entries directly on the line. And of course, you can import statement files, but you can also import data via the CSV ports, which I'll also get into later on. And then it's mostly the focus on creating or applying the journal lines so that you are able to post and then also maybe reconcile the bank account seamlessly in the background. So the main focus is on the payment reconciliation journal line. A match made in heaven is because I just want to give a little bit of credit to our developers on this, because it's really, really beautiful how they created this match routine. I will not go into it in depth because I want to be able to show you in the bank account reconciliation, but of course you'll get these slides and you'll be able to go more into detail. But as you can see, we use a lot of different parameters for the match. The security module supplies you with different advanced or enhancements, and you can secure your streamlined. You can secure and streamline your payment approval workflow. You can ensure that the right people approve the right payments. You can prevent fraud with the bank account verification, protect against internal and external fraud, and also errors. There's a full audit trail of changes and verifications inside the solution. The payment approval ensures that all payments are validated before sending it to the bank. So you can set up different approval flows based on amount limits or a number of approvers. You can define approvers in 5 different ways. That's the 5 different ways of sending it. You can choose single or batch payment approvals, and you can track the approval status from within the payment journal. You can notify the approvers via email or through the role center, and you can, of course, approve, reject, or delegate the requests, share approvals when you're out of office, and correct and resubmit the rejected lines. Bank account verification, you can detect if there's any changes in the bank account details, and the verification will then be revoked if something has changed. You can receive warnings and opt to block payments until the bank account is verified. You can block users from verifying their own changes, and the verification methods are email and phone, and you can also select other methods. And then you can add a comment so other people will be able to see how the validation or verification went. Validation is very central to business, to banking, Continia Banking. This is built-in validation, and you will not even recognize that it's there until you receive some kind of notification that there's an error in a payment line or inside the document when you're working with it. Because it's built in, so it's every step of the payment, and you can validate it already when working on a purchase invoice and to posting and going into the payment journal or the advanced payment suggestion. The validation is based on the payment method and the bank account setup, and you can see that validation is highlighted in status updates. We have a very user-friendly error correction within the suggestions, so you can detect if there's something that you need to do. Also, when working on the document, it's very detailed, the description of the error, and you can actually access the place where you need to make the correction directly also from the error description. So we have different ways of communicating with the bank. We have direct communication, and we have direct communication through provider, of course, inside the using the direct communication module. We'll have manual communication when you're using the essential module only, and we have cloud storage, which is kind of an in-between method. So you can use the cloud storage to import and export files. With the direct communication, you have direct integration with the bank. You can send payments and direct debit files directly. You can import payments and statement files. You can receive real-time status updates inside the payment journal. And you can make automatic exchange rate amount adjustments. Cloud storage. You start with setting up an Azure Blob Storage. That's the type we provide right now, but we aim to include more types of cloud storages in the future. You select the communications type from within the bank account setup, and then you are able to export and import from that cloud storage. CSV ports is to be able to support previously unsupported file formats from Continia. So you can actually go in and set up a CSV port and then import CSV file into the payment reconciliation journal. The timeline for Continia Banking and related solutions, I'm not going to go into depth with this, but this is just to show you we are released on October 1st. And as you can see, we have some timeline that you may want to be aware of on October 25 and October 26. You can find out more about these solutions on docs.continia.com, and you can go to continia.com and go to the solutions page. You can go and attend one of our webinars, and soon you'll also be able to go into a learning path. This is not ready yet, but it will be very shortly. And then we will also be ready with a demo portal where you can go and explore a little bit more. And also for partners out there, you'll be able to, of course, use them for presentations. The migration tools for payment management and OP Plus will also be available shortly. We're maybe in October, November, and also the same thing with the learning, demo portal. So the webinars, I'll just talk about the ones for banking. We have one on Friday. It's a Danish one. So if you want to attend that or have colleagues that want to attend that, please make them aware of this. And then we have two in German, one for which compares Continia Banking with OP Plus and one that compares to DynamoPay. And now we're ready to go into the live demo. Good. The first thing I want to show you here is just that in the role center, we have a Continia Banking activities with different queues for you. And you can see there's not a whole lot right now because I've just started this environment. As you can see, I have some verified bank accounts, but that's the only thing I actually have to take care of right now. But you have access to the bank account reconciliation, the payment reconciliation, bank account statements to import, outgoing payment journal lines, and you can update the status, and you have, of course, the approval requests. In Continia Banking, you have the Continia Banking setup. And this offers you direct access to the assisted setup guide. So when you start Continia Banking, and activate the solution, you'll be guided directly into the setup of bank accounts, because this is very important for the solution that you have bank accounts set up with the payment management solution, both for manual and direct communication. I'll just show you how I set this up. So you can see that I have some different bank accounts that I'm working with. Some is set up for manual and one is set up for a storage account. So I'll just show you how fast that is to work with. But it goes in and checks the bank accounts that's already set up in your company, and then it does the implementation of the communication types for that. You set up payment balance accounts, and this is to be able to make sure that when you make a payment from Continia Banking, you are always provided with a balance account, and this is set up based on the currency. So if there isn't one already in the line, you will use the currency balance account. You can set up payment approval. I'll just very fast go in and take a look at this, because I can tell you we can turn on use bank account verification. You can enable verifiers and approvers to approve their own changes. I'll need to do that. So I have it enabled that I can change my own things, but normally it wouldn't be an option, I'm guessing. Block payment export. So if it's not been verified, you will be blocked from sending the payment to the bank. And this is the approval workflow that I've turned on also here. I can verify bank accounts directly from this list. I can also do it a little bit later on. I have an approval flow tied to this payment journal. And you can see that this is just, I only have me in this setup. So it's set to be all, but I could, using these different 5 different methods, send it in different ways to different approvers, both using approval amount limits here or a simple setup of, for example, like this, all on the list, or a number of approvers from the list. Yeah. And then we have the recipient payment information set up, and this is to make sure that the recipients of your payments are set up in the correct way with payment methods that are supported by Continia Banking. Again, this is also to do with the validation of the data that you're sending to the bank. And also sets up the templates, and you can also set up, for example, if you want to set up the bank accounts for the recipients. On go back into. On this setup, you also have some manual setup, and some is tied to the banking export setup. So everything in here is set up to you exporting payments to a file or to the bank. And you can see here that I have the option to turn on advanced payment suggestion. I'll do that a little bit later. I can also select how I want to validate or where I want to validate. There's a lot of different setup here. I won't go through this because the session is simply too short for that. But in here, we also have the banking import setup for when importing statement files into the bank account reconciliation, or if you have payment reconciliation, you can post some per posting date. You can see here some is tied directly to the bank account reconciliation, because in the bank account reconciliation, you work with different journals where you push the lines into the journals. So these are the ones that are connected to that. We also have a specific setup for amount differences. So you can set up a default account number and the posting description template for that. You also have the matching setup here for how do you want to match ledger entries and so on, and allow for tolerances and the rules that you're using in the reconciliation. But all of that, I'll get into that a little bit more or a little bit later. It's not too important for this demonstration here. On the vendor, customer and employee, we have some different setups also for receiving payments. So how do we want the individual vendors to be treated when we send export a payment to them? If you go to the payment section down here, you can see that I have some different setup or additional setup, and I can, for example, skip payments for this vendor specifically. I can set up a balance account that I want to use for them. I can allow for summarizing payments for this vendor if I want to save a little bit of the fees for each of the payment lines. And of course, one line is maybe is cheaper than 10 lines. Then I'll turn this on the vendor. And then when creating the suggestion, I'll look if this vendor has been set up for allowing for summarizing. I can set up a cost type. I can set up if I want to, which preferred bank account code I want to use, and I can set up the remittance advice. So how do I want this specific vendor to be notified? And as a standard, it's set up in this system. It's set up to be bank only, so it's only notifying through the bank. But if I choose to use bank and email, this recipient email will be required, and then I would have to put in the details on the email that I want to send to each time. You can also set it up to, if you enable this, you can also create a remittance advice after a number of entries, and then it's only after, for example, 5 entries that you choose to send an email for this recipient. We have alternative vendor information, and this is in the scenario where you're sending a payment to a recipient which name is too long to be accepted by the bank. So for example, Business Central allows for 50 characters, but the bank only allows for 35. So instead of changing the original data on the vendor, you will put in an abbreviation of the name here, and then that is used for every payment suggestion going forward. And also the one that you actually already have in your suggestions. And this is, of course, to make sure that you do not change or have to change the vendor information here. In the payment journal, let's go into that first and try and create a payment suggestion. You can set up a little bit here in the payment journal, set up on how you want this payment journal to act every time you create a suggestion. So you can, there's a little bit of setup of how you want the posting date to be calculated, if you want to apply the discount, which templates to use for the different texts in here. And then also the approval setup is also available from in here. We also have a little bit of summarizing payment setup. So how do I want to summarize? And then this is used for creating the summarized lines. But let's go into the suggestion here. I will, I'll just turn this back a little bit to here, like this. This is in a sandbox environment, so sometimes there can be a little bit of a wait time, a little bit longer than usual. But this is again for the standard payment suggestion inside the payment journal, where you work with every line individually. And then from the individual line, you have some fact boxes in the right side of the screen. So the first 5 lines are valid. And if I go to the right side of the screen, I can see that they are ready for approval. I can see that the recipient bank details, I can see the applied entries, I can see the remittance information. And if I take one of the other ones here, I'll just maybe take this one here. You can see that this is, first of all, it has an error on the line. I'm sending an approval request for a new bank account, so I have to verify this. And also the limit for the text is reached. So I'll just change this one. Now I know I can change it to a BTD fast off. I'm going to change that and then validate again. And now it's still, I have the, down here, you can see this one line here is, just go a little bit out here, is pending verification. I can access the recipient bank details directly, or I can go in and look at the pending verification. I can put in that I have talked to Mary, verified. Oh, just like this. And then this bank account has been verified. If I validate this again, you will see that now this has been validated. And if I look at this one here, which also has an error, I'll just go here. Cost type must be specified. And I'll just go into the cost type here and press shared. And shared on this one also. And you can see now that validated dynamically. So now all of my lines are validated and I'm actually ready to send them to the bank. on this one, wide world importers, you can see that this is a summarized line for 5 different invoices, and I can access the posted purchase invoice directly from in here. And if I was using document capture, I would be able to see that too. And I can also see if it's been approved in a document capture approval flow. The remittance information is also present, and if I want to, I can actually send these for approval. I'm just going to do it with one line here. So I'm going to go into prepare and send approval requests. And now you can see this one is pending approval. And I will go into my role center here, and you can see the request to approve. And I can approve, reject, delegate. I can open the record. I can add a comment to this one. I'll just write some mumbo jumbo here. And then I'll go out again. You can see I also have the recipient bank details, the comments already here, and I can go to the applied entries. So now I'll just approve this line, and I'll go back into my payment journal. And the first line here is now approved, and you can see that it's ready for export, and I have my comments here also, so I can see if there's something that I need to take into account. Now, I'm not going to go forward with this. I'm just going to go in here, and I'm going to force void this payment because I want to delete these lines. Because what I want to show you is also this compared to the advanced payment suggestion. So now that was the simple and straightforward approach where you move pretty fastly through the process. Thank you. And now I'll go into the export where I showed you earlier. I can turn on the advanced payment suggestion. And I will go into the payment suggestion here. This payment suggestion also have like a partner over here. You can see the payment suggestion template, and this just offers you the opportunity to make different types of payment suggestion templates depending on how you want to work or what you want to work with. You can set up different remittance templates and so on. You can turn on if you want to include on hold or summarize per account, and you can set up also suggestion filters for how you want that suggestion to be made. But I'm just going to go into this one where you can see everything that I'm doing, and I'm going to suggest vendor payments, and I'm just going to turn it back to the same date as I had, or approximately the same date as I had before. And this will give me a payment suggestion. You can see here that I have one payment suggestion of 8. And in here, I have the different, let's go into this one here. The different recipients that I'm paying, and I can see the different invoices that I'm paying also down here in the overview. I have access to all the information that I need from here, and I can also, for example, go down here and say, I want to have a new line, and I want to find a certain invoice here. I'm just going to pick one. I don't know what that is, but I'm just going to put in something here. I can also delete the lines. And also something that I'm able to do, and I'm just going to go out here again and create a new, go back here and suggest vendor payments again. And I'm going to change the settings a little bit. I'm going to choose the 21st, and I'm going to find payment discount. So if you look at this one here, I get this in here, and I just want to go into this one and look at what it has down here. Like, it's the original payment is for 3,000, but because I look for the payment discount, I got it, and I am only paying the 2,940. If I go out on this one again and I go into, for example, this one here, this is for 4,000, and I can say, okay, I want to apply a discount here. And then that is done. And it's because this, I know that this is already made so that it's with a discount, but it's not within the period. So I'm just gonna try and delete this again. And then I'm gonna do something different when creating it. I'm just gonna suggest vendor template, vendor payments, and I'm gonna select the state, and I'm gonna say always apply discount. So now it changed from this to this. And this means that when I make the suggestion, it will already apply the payment discount, even though it might be not within the period. I'm just going to select this one and go into it here. And you can see now that the original one that we saw earlier is, of course, within. So that is set up with the discount. And this one was done automatically because I chose always apply the discount. Good. Now, when I've worked with these in the same way as I would in the payment journal, I would be ready to create the journal lines from this, and then I'll export it to the bank. But for now, I'm just going to delete these because I want to go into the bank account reconciliation instead. Bank account reconciliation, and I'll create a new one on the same bank account that I was working in earlier here. I am going to select the Nordea account. Yes. And then I will import and match bank statements. Of course, this is with manual communication, so I'm selecting a file to import. With direct communication, you do the same thing. You press the import and match bank statement, but then it will connect directly to your bank and just import it through that. Again, this is a sandbox environment, so I can't count on speed every time that I try to click something new. So you can see it's going through the different vendor ledger entries, customer ledger entries, and so on, trying to find a match for me. And if I look at these lines, I have some of them are completed, and that means it has a match in the right side of the screen. So there's a bank account ledger entry to match. And some are unsolved, and some have a related party, and some are pending in the cash receipt journal. This one, for example, I'll go into this one just to show you what that is. This one looks at the transaction code description and finds out that this is a vendor. So when I try to, I don't know which vendor it is, but when I try to apply entries, it will only show me different vendor entries that I can then try to apply. I'll select this one here because I can see it's the same amount. And then it's pending in the payment journal here. So what we're doing from this bank account reconciliation is finding a match in the ledger entry, pushing it to the different journals, and then posting those, and then we have the bank account ledger entry for the match. I have a lot of different entries down here. I can see I'm already running out of time a little bit, so I won't be able to show you all of it. But some of them are matched on document number. You can see that here, external document number match, and applied already. So, and you can see it's also pending in the payment journal up here in the left side of the screen. Related party is for when it's found a customer, in this case, customer 5,000, based on the name. So it's using related party indicators to create the match to a customer this way. And I just press apply entries, and then I can select the different entries that I think are correct, and this is the right one. So I'm just going to go through that. And the next one here is the same, also related party based on name and IBAN. Again, apply entries. I can select the one here and close it. Pending in the cash receipt journal. Next one here, worldwide importers based on name and again apply the entries, and I get the invoice here, and I close. And I get a lot of information just opening the different proposals here, but for this one, there's really nothing, and I can see it's a bank fee. So what I would do from here is I would set up a search rule for this one, and based on that, I would probably say like it's a fee, it's a gebyr in Danish. So I'm selecting this one, and I'll create journal line method, select to be automatic, and then go out of this one here, close this one. The next one here, I would go ahead and look if I can see what this is all about. It's found some kind of related match, but I can see that it's not the right one. So for this one, I'm just gonna say it's to be posted on this GL account, and then the create journal line. You can see I got some options on how I wanted to create that. And in here, I have to be able to take this one and then press apply entries. And based on the amount, and I know a little bit about this, and I'll just say, okay, I know this is a customer, and it matches the amount, so I'll close this one. And based on the posting, I'll be able to have a new related party rule based on just me selecting that and posting this bank account reconciliation. I will, for this one, I'll select that it's supposed to be manual. So I'll set manual handling. You can see the status changed to manual, and I'll create the journal line. It'll ask me for the GLI account I want. I'll just select one, and then press OK. And you can see that this is all presented to you in a very nice way. I'll close this, pending in the general journal, and then I'll go to this one here. Well, it's set up a rule again. I'll just set one up for leasing here. So you can see also the way we create the rules is very intuitive, and you just set it up to be automatic and go out again here. And then I will match automatically, and then all of my lines are pending in a cash or in some kind of journal up here in the right side of the screen. You can see them, 25 in the cash receipt, general journal, and so on. I'll go into journals. I'll say post all journal lines. Yes, please. And there's a little bit with the date here. I'll have to go through that. And then it'll simply go through all the journals that I have pushed different transactions to. And then I will, good. And then all the bank account ledger entries created based on that will be here. And I'm done with my bank account reconciliation. And I'll just go ahead and post. Oh, okay. I need to change my, like this. Okay. And I will post again. So now you have the posted bank account reconciliation here. As I mentioned, there's also another way of going through the reconciliation process. So you could go into the payment reconciliation journal, and I will create a new journal here, and I'll select the same bank account, for example, and then I will just import bank transaction, and I'll take a new one. I have to remember which one it is. Let's just take this one, I think. Again, the weight. In the payment reconciliation journal, you have different options for what you want to import or how you want to import. You can see now it's using the same rules. So the rules that I set up in the in the bank account reconciliation are also ruled in here. But you can differentiate where you want to use the rules as you please. This was the same bank. I'll just try and create one for a another bank account that I set up. This is the one that I set up for the cloud storage. So if I go into this one and import and apply bank transaction, I won't have to do anything because it's importing directly from my cloud storage setup. So this gives you a little bit of flexibility for how you work. But we also have another option, and this is the CSV ports. And I've created one here. And then I just import transactions from CSV. I select the CSV port code that I've set up, and then I select the file that I want to import here. And for this one, I will apply. And you can see, because I already set some rules up for this, you have a lot of different informations in the match details, or the reconciliation line details down here for each of the lines. But this is a very simple way of working with the formats that is not supported, and the way it's actually set up is in here in the CSV ports. So you can see that's the one that I used for the import, and if I go into this one, we have a very simple setup for how you want to, for how that CSV file is supposed to be interpreted. If I go into the imported headers, you'll be able to see the files that I've been working with in this last warming up to this demonstration for you. I can also go and look at, if I go into the, just want to show you this one last thing in the Continia Banking setup again. And if I go into the import, you have setups also for this, but if I go into manual setup in here, I can see the different rules that are set up for this, for the import, the different transaction codes, the related party rules. And I also have the bank transactions that are imported, so I can go in and look at the different account statements that are imported. And if I want to change something, for example, I can access this one and look at the lines that are imported. And I can also say that it's supposed to be remove imported to company. Then I would be able to import it again. Yes, well, that was basically what I had for you today. I hope this gave you a nice view of what the solution has to offer for you. And I will just wish you a very nice day and afternoon and evening when you get to it. Yeah. Thank you.
Anna, I think maybe we should end up wrapping it up. I know the time is gone, but we may be having a few more minutes on it. I think that maybe you didn't notice, but there is a huge activity within the chat section.
Yes.
And I think the more specific questions, I think we should answer them after we close down the events. So, and the chat section will, of course, still be alive. But I think in general, there is some questions about localizations when they are available. And maybe we should say that I can phrase the one that we have today with the release of this R2 release. And since we are going to take the rollout of banking in phases regarding localizations, and with this version we start out with Denmark, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, and Sweden.
Yes.
And we are going to make official releases of new localizations when we make our major releases, and that is when Microsoft do have major releases as well. And maybe you can update, and maybe we can do it in common. What are the planned localization releases for next major release that is in April with the 25R1 release?
Yes, the ones that I know for sure that we're looking at are Norway, and the Netherlands and the UK. So those are the ones that we are opting to release for within the next half a year.
Yes, and I know that we also are working on adding more countries to the list during next year. I know there has been questions on multiple countries like Finland and France and Belgium and North Americas as well. And I think all are on the list, but we have not an official release date for those localizations yet. But most likely they will be on the second half of next year. But please follow our announcements, then we will inform you when we get closer to them. Yes. Also another thing that is maybe a few ones were asking about it because maybe they have been around payment management and OP Plus for many years.
Yes.
So it's not realized yet, but it is going, Continia Banking is going to replace the existing solutions, and the existing solutions are going to be phased out. We have a schedule for that.
Which I also showed in the presentation,
yes.
So you can take a look at that afterwards also.
Yes.
In the slides. Yeah.
Yes. So you must be prepared that if going forward, you must expect, especially the customers on cloud, that you must, if you work on a OP Plus or payment management solution in the coming years, you will be forced to go to banking. But I think it's in 2 years or something like that. So that is really important on that part. But no panic yet, I would assume.
Hopefully not.
Good. A super presentation, and really looking forward to go to market with this, Anne. So thank you very much for that.
Me too.
And of course, we will go through all the questions in the chat after this meeting. So we won't stop, but I think we'll stop here for now.
Yes.
Any last comments, Anne?
No, just have a wonderful day, and see you all around.
Yeah. Bye-bye.